All right, guys, today we've got a special guest and we're going to talk about all things ISAs, specifically, are they worth it?
You better get fired up.
All right, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, feel free to put a comment down below and we'll certainly respond to any questions or comments that you've got before we get done here. But today we've got a special guest, Jay Lopez with Jay Lopez Enterprises, specializing in ISAs, something that I personally have been very interested in adding to my organization here in the near future. So I thought, man, what a perfect guest to have on. So Jay, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello, everybody. I'm excited to be here.
So explain to us right off the bat, for those of us, I mean, I remember when I was a brand new agent, if you would have said to me ISA or even spelled it out what an ISA was, maybe you can do that for us too. I would have had no clue what that was or why I would have wanted them. And when you explained it to me, I would have been extremely fearful. That would have been my mindset up front. I'm guessing that's the mindset of a lot of people, especially newer agents. What is an ISA? What is their benefit? And who is this geared towards?
Okay, great. So that's a great question. Even when I first started, I wasn't sure what the benefit was of hiring somebody to help with phone calls, right? And the reason this came about, I'm going to backtrack a little bit before I explain ISAs, is that when I first started doing some marketing, I was doing lead generation for realtors. And my first realtor said, Jasmine, these leads are no good. And I was worried. And then I went to the next realtor and I generated leads. And she said, Jasmine, these leads are no good. And I said, it's impossible. I generated these from Facebook and Instagram. Facebook would be charged with fraud if they were charging me for all these people and it wasn't working. So lo and behold, I said, why don't I start calling? I started calling and I started making appointments for the agents. So here I am like, okay, this isn't going to work if I just generate leads. And I started to call leads. Started with one person, named them an ISA, an inside sales agent. And now we have over 30. And essentially, the inside sales agent's role is really to kind of shake the tree, find the needle in the haystack, and really qualify as best as they could someone that's looking to buy or sell a house. Yeah. Now, the one big thing that most agents think is that an ISA is here to convert.
Yep.
And it's definitely not that. It's definitely an opportunity that they find for you. So you don't have to sit there. I mean, they're calling, 50 to 100 calls a day for our agents. So that's essentially what they're doing.
Explain to me a little bit about, you had mentioned, realtors, people in my shoes are telling you, hey, these leads aren't very good leads. They're not working out. I think it's a waste of money, a waste of time. And then you get in there, you start making the calls and you start scheduling appointments. What is the difference between what that agent was doing and what you're doing? And just talk about that dynamic a little bit.
Yeah. So a lot of agents just don't have the time. And it's consistency. And with anything in any business, even mine, if you're not consistent, and oftentimes, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. If I'm going to say, hey, listen, I'm going to sit down and make phone calls, you make one phone call, your phone rings and interrupted onto the next thing. Like our ADD kicks in. So what an ISA is, it replaces you. They're making calls 2 to 4 hours a day for you. So you don't have to, and that way any lead that's being forwarded is already almost like pre-qualified for you to actually qualify and move forward with it. So we really found the problem and we're trying to create the solution for agents.
Now, you had touched on the fact that it's still the agent's job to convert. But just to clarify, and maybe to make sense for me, the ISA's job is to get them from a warm lead, wherever you got them from, to an appointment, right? A buyer or seller appointment. And then the agent, their job, I assume, is to go on the appointment. Is that their next step, to go on the appointment? Or is there something in between there?
Yeah, so there's 2 different types of appointments because there's 2 types of leads, right? There's cold, there's warm, and there's hot. So again, you were correct with saying depends where we're getting the lead from. If it's a cold lead, we're qualifying it, setting a callback appointment and allowing the realtor to go ahead and say, yes, I'm having coffee with this guy, or yes, I'm going to see this property. But then there's the warm leads who say to us that come out of a database that are like, oh yeah, I know Joe. And as a matter of fact, thanks for calling because I need to sell my house because I have to move. That's the one where that's more of a appointment. Do you want him to come to your house? Do you want him to give you a call back? Which one is easier for you? Whatever makes it easier for the person. But those warm ones are kind of easier to get an in-person appointment. Now, FSBOs and expireds is also a different type of appointment. We are also offering a market analysis to a FSBO appointment, right? Because most FSBOs are pricing their homes and they have no idea how or what they're doing. So we, instead of making the appointment, we're more like, hey, listen, we're here to help, add value. So do you have a market analysis? Did you price your home correctly? If not, our team agent can help you and we're going to give you a call back. And a good agent gets in that property to list that home. We've had agents that the same day have gotten a listing from a FSBO appointment.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about the budget that somebody should have in mind before they move forward with this. What are the costs associated maybe up front? And then what are the costs associated? Well, I guess, how do you pay them? How do you pay most ISAs? How do you pay ISAs with your organization? And maybe talk to us a little bit about how you guys are different than other companies we might be looking at who have ISAs.
Right. So ISAs, depending. We have agents that come to us and they say, we want to hire an ISA. By all means, our company helps you hire an ISA for yourself, if that's really what you want. I often speak to our agents and say, okay, well, how many transactions did you have last year? If somebody's had over 3-4 transactions a month, they don't have time to manage people.
Yep.
So what I always say to them is this isn't going to work for you because you're not going to know when they punched in, when they punched out, if they made how many calls, are you listening to recording? The quality control of an ISA is very, very important. Also, the way they're treated, the attention they get will also will produce results, right? So if you don't pay attention to them or you don't have time for them, you're going to maybe get one appointment every 2 weeks. I just met with an agent who had an ISA and she was like, oh my God, I think I got one appointment in a month. And I said, well, are you listening to the recordings? Do you hear how many calls they make every day? And she said, no. So that's what I always say is instead of hiring your own, just hire us. It's one monthly fee. There's no real contract. We're calling 50 to 100 calls a day. And our quality control team is watching and listening to everything. Just this morning in WhatsApp, my director of operations sent me a recording because it sounded great what the guy had done on the phone with a pre-foreclosure lead. And we're going to bonus him. So she sends me good recordings. I send them $20, So that's how we keep them happy and motivated and they love what they do and they love to work for me. So they never leave.
I love that. So I've talked with a couple different ISA companies. If I understand you right, your company is more of an all-in-one shop. I know other places you go, you get the ISA and then it's yours and you can do whatever you want with it for the better or the worse, depending upon you, your time, your abilities, your coaching, all that. You guys take on that role yourself, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great.
For if we have clients who come and they're like, I want FSBOs, expireds, and pre-foreclosures called Monday through Friday, done deal. They wipe their hands of it. We manage the ISAs. We are making sure the calls are being made. We already know buyer appointments are 2 to 4 a week. FSBOs and expireds are 4 to 10 a month on average, depending on location.
Yep.
Everybody gets 2 counties called, 1 expired MLS, and then pre-foreclosures or anywhere in whatever locations they want. But yeah, it's very straightforward for one monthly fee instead of hiring and having to take care of an ISA.
Gotcha. Okay. So when you buy into this service, you are getting an average amount of appointments, or are you getting a certain amount of hours, or what are you getting for that?
So you're getting appointments.
Okay.
It depends on the program. So like I said, buyers is like 2 to 4 a week, depending on the lead source, right?
Sure.
So the lead source for me, if an agent says I need leads, I don't have any, then I say, well, we're generating from Facebook and Instagram. That's 2 to 4 appointments a week. The other thing I say with buyer leads is I know them very well. Internet leads are internet leads, whether you get them from Zillow or you get them from Realtor, Up City, Boomtown. We work with all of them. 40% of buyers are looking to buy 6 months to 12 months out. So you're filling your pipeline with lead generation. Another 40% are 3 to 6 months. Then you get the lucky 20% that just went to Wells Fargo, got a pre-approval, and don't know an agent. And they saw your ad and they're like, I need that house. So we do get lucky.
I love that you said that, because I think most people believe if you've never done paid leads, they believe that, hey, I don't want to make cold calls. I don't want to door knock. So if I just go pay this money, I'm going to get 5-10 people calling me every single month who just want to go buy a house or want to list their house. And that's simply not the case. You're getting people who still need to be nurtured, still need to be called, still need to be put into a CRM with an action plan, followed up with. You're not really changing the process, in my opinion. I've done massive amounts of cold calling and I've done paid leads. And I'll tell you, either way, you've got to have conversations with people, a lot of whom don't want to be called. You're going to get rejection. You're going to have negativity. And you either have the discipline and the confidence and the excitement about your career and your future to stick with it, or you don't. And it doesn't matter if you pay for leads, pay for ISAs, do cold calls, door knocking. I really think a successful agent's going to be successful no matter what. To what extent? It depends on, are they using the different tools and training, everything else. But someone who's going to be successful is going to be successful no matter what. And somebody who's not, it doesn't matter what tools you give them or ISAs or they're not going to be successful because of them. How do you feel about that statement?
So the recipe is the same.
Yeah.
The same recipe for a $25 million gross commission income agent and a $100,000 is the same. I think what makes it different is the amount of discipline, consistency, years, and different pipelines that you develop over time. So the agent that's been an agent 10, 15, 20 years has a referral pipeline that's automatic. It's natural. It's organic. The newer agent is like, okay, a deer in headlights. Where do I start? Well, you might have to start with some paid lead generation slowly to fill your CRM and your database so you can start touching these leads. And then you'll have to do 3 other things. But those 3 other things are what I feel like most agents struggle with. We are at the point where we are generating the lead, we're calling the lead, we're qualifying the lead, we're setting appointments, we're putting it inside of the agent's CRM, we're setting property alerts, we're following up, we're sending to the lender, we're following up with the lender. If the lead is referred to an agent, we're following up with the agent. And we're making sure loan applications are being filled out for pre-approvals. So the agent can stick to negotiation. So we have really looked at the front end of lead generation and said, how can we help? And every time I run into a problem, I have the ability because I have the people. So I create the process and we fix it. What's next? What's next? What's next? Because agents are, it's difficult to be one person and do all of that. And then moving into the transaction stuff. Now that's the back end of the transaction. So we have ISAs who write offers. When it was busy during COVID, we had our ISAs writing offers for agents. That was their only job, And so now it's like FSBOs. Okay, so we set the appointment. The agent calls the FSBO, and the FSBO says, I don't want to speak to an agent. Hangs up on them. The agent gives up. I don't believe you should give up, even if you got hung up on. So here I am, 2023, Q1. I want to focus on that. I don't want my agents losing FSBO listings because they were told no. It's called no therapy, but I don't believe in no until like Matt Marinoff says that there's a restraining order.
Yes.
So
I want to share something that one of my team agents put into our team thread. It was yesterday. And you'll find the stats will be a little bit skewed, but they're all going to be generally the same thing. And I saw 2 great studies on this, one with MIT, one with Harvard. What is it? There's about 8 stats here I'm going to read. 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and then they stop. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop. Only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. 2% of sales are made on the first contact. 3% are made on the second, 5% on the third, 10% are on the fourth, and 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. So if you're getting these leads and you're making 1 or 2 contacts to the person, it's not working out and you're stopping, kind of what you alluded to there. Your odds of success are 2-3%, right? But if you're following up with this person, I forget what it said, 8 to 12 times or whatever it was, that's when you start to see the success. And that's where a CRM and an action plan and the diligence to go in really helps you. And that's where when you get to that point where you can't do it anymore, you start to look into, and this is what I'm looking into, the return on investment on an ISA. So when you throw someone at us, are you emailing it to us? Do you have direct links to our CRM and you're entering it for us? How do we get communication of that new lead that we need to follow up with?
There's 3 ways. The first way is we'll set the appointment and we'll throw it in a Slack channel. then the other way is we'll set the appointment, and at the end of the night when you're in bed, you receive an email that says, hey, Joe, you have an appointment tomorrow at 4. The third way is we automatically plot it into your calendar. Or if you have an assistant, we'll send it to your assistant to plot in your calendar.
So you have access to our calendars.
Yeah.
I like that. So are you, so let's take me, right? I've got about 20,000 leads in my CRM. I've got a fairly mature CRM. Would you come in to my CRM and work those existing leads?
Exactly. And if you have a team, we also, like, we have a big Remax team that we work with in New Jersey, and he has about 7 agents. So if there's ever an opportunity for a live transfer, we have a rotation and an agent is assigned to every day of the week.
Perfect. So let's talk money a little bit. And I'll tell you, the money's going to scare people because it scares most people. But where I want to go with this as an entrepreneur is, yes, it'll scare you up front, but let's talk about the ROI, right? I want to get to the ROI with it. So can you share a little bit about what an ISA costs? And maybe you've got different programs, whatever. I'm looking for some sort of general numbers so I can go through the ROI equation with these guys.
On average, for the CRM reactivation, so for instance, like you have 20,000 leads in your CRM, it's $9.97 a month. That's it. Straight fee every month.
That's everything. $9.97.
$9.97 a month, and you're done. Then and then we have people who are like, oh, I want to hire my own. Yes, I understand your services, but I want my own because I want to work with them. They have the time. That's a one-time fee of $2,000.
Yep.
We help post the job. We hire. We bring 2 applicants to an interview for you. You choose who you want to work with. And then for 2 weeks after that, we help you train them. Wow. So once we cut the umbilical cord, there's no issues and it's resolved. You guys are working together, payroll, punching in and out, accountability, all of that is set up. The process, daily tasks, end of day reports.
Okay, so you're talking about $1,000, and I know you said, depending upon the market and everything else, you might get 4, you might get 10, you might get whatever, how many leads. What is a weaker market's numbers, you would say, as far as expectations on leads per month?
So and it also depends on the number of leads you have. So if we're generating new leads, it's 2 to 4 appointments. Right now, 2 to 4 a week.
2 to 4 a week.
Yeah, generating new.
Okay.
And right now, for the most part, at like the bigger states like New Jersey, Georgia, Florida, Texas, that's where we're seeing the 2 to 4 by generating. If we're using your CRM, it depends on the age of the leads too. Like we're using one client that's off the top of my head, and right now he's probably getting like 1 to 2 every week. Yeah. Instead of the 2 to 4. But we're also using Mojo Dialer for seller leads for him. Yes. So he may end up with 3 a week, but it's just 2 different ISAs that he hired with us.
Let's just say you're only getting 2, right? Which I think you would agree is on the lower end of everything you had just said, right?
Yeah.
So that's 8 leads. In fact, it'd be more because there's more than 4 weeks in a month. But let's just say you only get 8 appointments a month.
Yeah.
8 times 12 is 96. You're getting 96 appointments for $12,000. And if you do the math, I mean, I'll speak to what's probably an average or below average market price wise. $250, I think, is well below the average price point in America right now. And I think that 2.5% is probably a below average commission side, especially if you're looking at the list side and you're a good, strong negotiator. 2.5% on 250 is it 62.50? So literally, even after your splits with your broker, everything else, 2 to 3 sales in a year, and you're breaking even on this whole program. I would argue this: if you get 96 appointments and you can't close 2 to 3, you probably shouldn't be in real estate, right? If you're even closing 10%, which again will be a horrendous closing rate, that's about 10. That means if 3 are breaking even, you're getting 7 of those, which are roughly $7,000 each. You're making about $50,000 on this in profit for a $12,000 input, right? So you're paying off the 12, plus you're making another 50. Again, this assumes you absolutely suck and you can only convert 10% of them. And it assumes she's getting you the worst amount of appointments that she just stated she was getting. And it assumes you're only selling $250 as an average price. And it assumes that your commissions are, pretty dang low at 2.5%. I think it assumes the worst of the worst in every position, and still in a year's span with all of those worst case scenarios, you're making 50 grand. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah. And I have there's most marketing agencies or more like cold callers, etc., that you'll call and you'll try to you're trying to hire them and you'll ask them like, "Hey, buddy, you got a referral?"
Oh, we got her locked up here. Let's see if I can fix this. I'm going to try refreshing. You might lose me. Let's see. Mm. There we go. Can you hear me now?
Did I lose you real quick?
Ah, you froze up for a little bit, so I got out, come back in. We're good. We're good. No problem. So
Oh my
go on
gosh.
with your story. I'm sorry.
So yeah, so we'll have agents that are like, "Oh, do you have referrals?" Absolutely. Anybody that says they don't, they're hiding something. The
Yep.
same thing with contracts. Business is like a marriage. If you can't communicate with the owner, with the person who's helping you, build your business, there's a problem.
Yep.
So I really, I see all these big companies coming out, and I never want to lose the touch, the personal touch. Every one of our clients, and we work with over 40 now, have my personal phone number, my personal text. They can text me at any time. Guess what? Nobody bothers me because when the job is being done right, there's no complaints and I live in peace and they are happy. So, we've already, we have a team, Glenn Baker, Remax, everybody can call him if you want. He told me the other day, I didn't know how it was going because he's busy. So I thought something was wrong when he said, I wanted to speak to you. So I said, okay. And I called him and he was like, hey, listen, I need more hours. Number one. I'm like, oh, okay. And he said, the other thing I just want to let you know, there's about 11 we're working with since we started with you.
Wow. That's awesome.
It's only been 3 months.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So talk to me about, where do you get the ISAs from? Are they trained or not when they start? Like, do they have experience with this? And you had mentioned, if I remember correctly, you've got 2 weeks of upfront training. What are the expectations on our part? Are they fully trained at that point? Do we need to continue on with training, or how does that work?
So they are fully trained. They come to us, and we do hiring, of course. But one of the things is that I like to tell people a little story. I was a nurse for 20 years. When
Oh, thank you.
So, during my nursing career, I used to hire hundreds of nurses because I have my MBA. I was a nurse manager, emergency
Yeah.
room. One of the things I learned from being a nurse was you have to hire people with a heart, people who want to do good in this world, who want
Yep.
to help. I can teach you the nursing skill later. As long as you are willing and show up. And that's the mistake that a lot of people make with hiring virtual assistants. They hire people because they have experience. For me, I hire good people. When
Yeah.
they show up for my training, they love it. And they love working for me. And they learn a new skill that maybe they can use as a professional to grow later. But I never have a problem. And the other thing we're doing, especially this year coming up, is really looking for people with no accents. And I'm competitive, so I believe there's people that you can hire that don't have an accent. And
Yes.
we hired our last 4 ISAs. They talk better than me. So I'm really excited about that coming up this year, is that I'll be able to market like our ISAs have 0 accents. Don't worry about it.
So I assume you're finding people who are still out of country, but their English is that strong that you can't tell the difference, correct?
100%. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And I can tell you from experience, just anybody listening, even if you've got someone who's got, English as a second language, they're making so many calls and putting in so much time. And remember, their job isn't to take them to close. Their job is to get them an appointment with you, the agent. It's not as challenging as you think, and their success rate is a lot higher than you think. And again, I just gave you like the worst case scenario numbers, and you're still making 50 grand, and those are horrendous numbers. So it's an absolute no-brainer. We talked about that. Man, you've gone over just about everything that I've had here. I'll tell you guys from experience. One of the big differences that I see between Jay's company and a lot of other companies that I've talked to is the amount of support that you get from them once you take that person on. You can go hire somebody right now in your community. Number one, it's going to be a lot more expensive than getting somebody overseas, right? And this is something that literally anybody can do with a decent amount of training. And Jay, I loved your point, right? Somebody who's got a good passion for it, somebody who's got a good heart. I always say with my agents, man, I'd rather have a rookie than somebody who's coming from another brokerage because they don't have all those bad habits already. So I love what you said there, but I really think that the way that you've got your business set up is so valuable to agents because I don't want to stop and train. I might not even be a good trainer, right? And then I've got to take time to do it. I've got to be good at it. I've got to be consistent with it. Like you said, I've got to follow up. Are they actually showing up to work? Are they showing up on time? Are they making the calls? I don't want to do that. So to know that there's a company out there going above and beyond like this, I think is absolutely phenomenal. Jay, if they want to find you and connect with you, talk a little bit more in depth on how you can help them in their business, where can they find you?
Yeah, definitely. I'm on Facebook. My personal Facebook is Jay Lopez. I'm also on Instagram at Jay Lopez Enterprises. So Jay Lopez _ Enterprises. And my email is info at Jay Lopez Enterprises. Can pop an email. Let me know you want to meet with me, chat with me at any time.
I love that. And guys, we've got all of our contact information in the comments. So if you missed any of that, just go up there and check it out. You can reach out to me. I'm more than happy to give it to you as well. But Jay, I'm so excited for you. I see everything you're doing on Facebook. We're Facebook friends, and you can feel the passion, excitement, heart that you have for your business. And for me, that's the fun in it. Of course, we all want to make money. Of course, we want a successful business. But when you love what you do, it just makes it so fun. And as someone watching, it just makes me a big fan. So just know that I'm excited for you. It's awesome watching you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We've come a long way.
You have.
We can't do it without the agents and lenders that trust us at the end of the day.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Everybody watching, thank you very much. Again, if you've got any questions, any comments, all of our information is up above. Thank you very much for joining.